Hey there, and welcome to the Dynamics Hotdish podcast, serving up stories and knowledge on Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. This is what's hot in Dynamics. You're now joining Merlin Schweiger, Liz McGlennon, and Ashley Steiner.
I gotta go pick up all the sticks in my yard because we had like 70-mile-per-hour winds.
We did too. The storm, it was crazy. Did you have like a thunderstorm?
No, just wind.
We had a
Like,
thunderstorm
insane.
Wednesday night, like a tornado
Like lightning
warning.
and thunder.
Yeah,
You know, and I thought we were gonna have a tornado warning because it was like 65 degrees.
yeah,
Like it was
yeah.
like perfect tornado conditions because like you could tell there was like a switch happening, and I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get a tornado like Kentucky.
That's crazy.
But we didn't. We just had the 70-mile-per-hour wind, which it may as well have been a tornado.
Yeah, no, we got some pretty high winds here. Somebody asked me in a meeting the other day, like, oh, did you have any like damage in your yard? And I was like, well, the snow shovel that I had leaning up against the side of my house fell over. That was my damage.
My Halloween
Was that
doormat.
supposed to be funny?
Yes, it's supposed to be funny.
So my Halloween
Ashley didn't
doormat,
laugh either.
because I haven't put my Halloween doormat away yet because it says shoes off witches and I love it.
That's cute.
And so that blew into my bushes. So I had to go track it down and put it back out. So instead of like replacing it with a holiday one, I just put it back.
You don't have a Christmas doormat,
I do.
but you like that one better.
I'm also kind of lazy. Like I'm 100% like kind of don't care.
Sure. So what chipmunk does that make you?
Okay. I had a really hard time picking a chipmunk because when I first read the descriptions, I was like, oh, I'm 100% an Alvin. Like, there's no way. But as I read the book, I was like, yeah, I think I'm a Simon.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're both Simons.
Yeah, I'm 100% a Simon.
You're both
But I
Simons.
think that there are.
I'm the only
the-
Alvin here.
I thought you would have been a Theodore.
I'm reading my notes on them to see.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think
So but reading it, I was like, oh, I'm so an Alvin because I have it in front of me, like hitting deadlines on purpose instead of by accident, things like that. But then like the more I read the book, like every example she gave of Simon, I was like, yep, that speaks way too honestly.
Yeah.
Do you not agree that I am an Alvin?
No, I could.
No, but there's some Theodore too. Like I have in my notes that like Theodores are late and underprepared. I feel like that kind of.
I mean, I guess that's true. I feel like I identified more with the Alvin because it seems like, again, in a lot of her examples, the Alvin is the one that just sort of like shows up and hopes for the best.
Mhm.
I feel like we've talked about this before. Like, do you have a calendar or like, do you keep a calendar and things like that, Merlin? And you're always like, oh, I put things in OneNote. And like, that's totally a Theodore, like to not have a calendar, stick to a calendar, or keep a calendar.
Well, I have a calendar. I put stuff in my calendar. If I don't put stuff in my calendar, then I don't do it because it's not on my calendar. But yes, then the things in OneNote need to make it to the calendar, and that's usually where the breakdown occurs.
I feel like you're a blend of maybe I don't know. Like I don't think one
Maybe like
fits you perfectly.
75%
Yeah.
Alvin
Yeah.
and 25% Theodore.
So
I had a
maybe
really
that.
hard time picking because like even my note in here says like, oh, I'm definitely an Alvin. But as I read the book, I'm not.
So should we explain the book?
Sure.
For our
Should we talk
listeners?
about why we're picking
Yeah,
chipmunks
yeah.
for ourselves?
Yes.
Who
Probably.
wants to
Actually, I think
explain
you
the
should
book?
explain it. Because you picked the
Yes.
book.
Well, yeah, and I like I've brought it up before on our podcast. So the book is called Getting Your Shit Together. Sorry, Mom, that is the name of the book. And it's written by Sarah Knight. She's literally one of my favorite authors. I actually got all of my team members one of her books for Christmas because I think that it's super valuable for everyone to read at least one of her books. So yeah, so that was I've read a couple of her books a few years ago and I was telling you guys about them and you had brought up this idea, Liz, of like how we should read a book together. And I was like, it has to be this one, because if there's anything I need right now, it's to get my life together. So I took a lot of notes.
That's very un-Simon-esque for you to admit that too, by the way, Ashley.
I admit it because I've read the book.
Pre-book you wouldn't have.
Yeah, pre-book I would have been like, you know what, it's fine. Like, we're good, whatever.
Yeah.
During the book, I had a lot of self-reflection, which is a little terrifying self-reflection.
I think we should explain like the Alvin and the Chipmunks, like analogy too.
Do you want to
True.
do it, Liz? Or
I don't have any notes on them because I only listen
So,
to it on audio.
well, I guess first of all, if someone doesn't know what they are, Google it. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Alvin
But
and the Chipmunks.
Alvin the Chipmunks, thank you. Yes, but like I just want to say too, like because it's Christmas time, did either of you listen to their Christmas like tape? Like I had this like chipmunk like squeaky, like they sing Christmas songs.
Yeah.
I did not
I've
listen
heard
to
them.
it this year, but I've heard it.
No, I would never listen to it again. But like I loved it as a little kid.
I like
and
the
I'm sure it was
hula hoop
horrible.
one. No, like the hula hoop one.
The hula hoop
right?
one is actually pretty good.
Yeah, the hula hoop one's like the best Christmas song.
I don't remember that one.
How did the loop de loop and the hula hoop, right? Am I getting the
Right.
words wrong? Yeah. Gotta listen to it, Liz. I'll send it to you.
A hula hoop. Da, 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 da. No.
Really?
Maybe.
Liz?
Wow.
I've not listened to it
Wow.
recently.
Wow.
Okay, we're
Jeez.
definitely gonna send that to you, Liz.
I don't
Like
even do
my
Christmas music. I
last
know that song.
memory of listening to it was like second grade or earlier.
I feel like it comes up on my Christmas station every year, the hula hoop one.
Is
Like
it
hear
on
at least once a
Spotify?
year. It has to
Of
be.
course.
I'll look on
Must be.
Spotify. I was like, I wonder if my mom still has the tape.
It's literally like one of the
Not that
most
I would
popular
play it.
Christmas songs.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll look it up. So
Anyway,
anyways,
diversion aside.
yes, the book kind of groups people into the three chipmunks. And so there's Theodore, Alvin, and Simon. Theodore is the youngest, naive, is along for the ride and never in the driver's seat and never gets his shit together. He spills things and loses things and just generally things are difficult. He's nice and well-intentioned, but he's always like chronically late and underprepared.
Yeah, see,
Anything
that's
you
why
guys
I'm not
want to
Theodore.
add to Theodore?
Like Theodore is the flibbertigibbet of the group, and I'm no flibbertigibbet.
But I think that part of it does apply to you, like the under.
Perhaps.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think
Just
that
a
anybody is ever
smidge.
just one
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
chipmunk.
that's
Like
fair.
I
That's
definitely
fair.
related to like different parts of each of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Theodore's like the klutz. He's just sort of like stumbling around and like tripping on things. Right? I don't know.
No, you're right. Like,
Yeah, like
isn't
when
he
you're
the one that's
having-
always losing his glasses? Or no, that's Simon. Theodore's the little one, like the little like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I can see that based on the movies. You guys seen the movies?
Mm-mm.
Oh man.
That's where I draw the line. The Christmas song? Okay. The movies? No.
All right, so Alvin.
Alvin
Liz.
cruises along just fine, has fun, talks big game, is kind of like the fake it till you make it type of person, but bails when going gets tough. Skates by day to day, but isn't good with the big stuff. So like planning for retirement was the example she gave. And he kind of makes everyone nervous because like he follows through in the beginning, but then kind of does bail when things get hard. He's good at like hitting deadlines and sticking to budget. Anything
Yeah, I
you
feel
guys
like
want to
that's-
add?
I feel like that's very much me.
I thought he was bad at sticking to deadlines.
Oh, is he bad? I
Yeah,
just put
that's the thing,
deadlines
yeah.
and budget. Bad.
Yeah,
at
that's
it?
like what
Okay.
he would have
I think he's
difficult
bad
at.
at
Like he.
Oh, and then so
like,
then
he-
he's bad at like the event planning and the dieting and like the
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
It's like bad
Which
at
is
sticking to
where
commitments.
which is where I related to Alvin a little bit with the like sticking to budget, sticking to plans. Like I'm very just like I'll get into like a hey, I'm gonna eat well, and then like 3 days later I have a cinnamon roll, which is sitting right next to me actually right now. So that's where I related to Alvin a little bit, was like I get too busy to like focus on, or I think
You're
I'm
probably too busy because your majority is Simon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell us about Simon, Liz.
So Simon's clean up after Alvin. They're successful. They plan elaborate shindigs. They never say no to someone in need. Simons seem like they have their shit together, but really it's not at all under the surface. So they've perfected the illusion that they have their shit together. They're busy bees and overachievers. They have issues setting boundaries and prioritizing, and have issues kind of like switching careers, ending relationships, and maintaining their sanity. So they're in demand and booked up.
So they're busy and can't say no.
Yeah.
I feel so attacked by the way that you described it, because like when I read it, I was like, no, this isn't me.
But actually, these are my notes on Simon as being a Simon. So that's why they're like super critical.
Well, and it makes me laugh because even this week, like a salesperson was like, hey, can you do this for me? You did it last year. And I was like, no, like, I don't have the time. It took me 12 to 15 hours to do this for you last year over Christmas. Like, I don't have time.
Good
job. And he was like, oh, okay. And kept going. And I was like, fine, send it over. We'll find a way to make it. No, literally. No. So like, because I was like, I just hate letting people down. I was like, I hate making people feel like I can't help them. And so I was like, yeah, okay, send it. I'll make it work. I'm not supposed to be doing much right now anyways. I'm supposed to be relaxing. I can enter data into dynamics.
Relaxing means not working.
I like how you're like, I'm supposed to be relaxing. I'm supposed to be relaxing, so I'll just take on this extra task that isn't my job.
It is my job. I just don't have time for it.
But it's not, it doesn't sound like it's a high priority.
Well, and also data entry is probably not my job, but
no, you could pay no.
I know. So anyways, yeah, that makes me Simon.
Sure does.
Yep.
I feel like I'm surrounded by Simons. I know lots of Simons. I am not a Simon.
Do you think Simon's the most common? I can't imagine there's.
No, I think people just are attracted, like they want to hang out with people like them. And so Simon's like clumped together because that you want to be around someone like you.
How are we friends with Merlin then, since he's an Alvin? Or it's because we're cleaning up after him. We like to clean up after him.
I'm dependent on you guys to carry me along. See, so I've latched on to you. I don't know that you would have chosen me left to your own devices.
I don't know how to respond to that. Like, so to counterpoint, we did choose you, Merlin. Like, that's kind of harsh to say. But I mean, it's true, right? Like, I think that you attract people around you that like you're so relaxed. Like, I'm very like tense all the time and like whatever. And I think that having somebody like you in my life who's more relaxed and kind of just takes things as they go, like to Liz's point, you attract people around you that help you.
Yeah, it's nice to have like the opposite around to balance it out, to like chill things down. Yeah.
Right. I can help you guys chill, and you guys can help me with my time management, which, as we've previously discussed, is not particularly great.
I think
getting better. No, not getting better.
I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
I would also say that I don't know if Simons are actually that good at time management. We just pretend like we are.
I would agree, because I think that like as a Simon, I just take the time to do. I guess I just make the time.
You just do more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is not actually like healthy time management.
No.
Yeah.
I guess I assume that if we extend the point of the book, that people who do in fact have their shit together don't fall into any of these chipmunk categories, right? Because the whole idea is that these three chipmunk sort of personality archetypes that she's using are her target audience for the book. And presumably if you actually have your shit together, then you wouldn't be one. I guess Ashley's about to say, but does anyone actually have their shit together?
So no, that's not what I'm going to say. I think that at the core, you are one of the chipmunks, and you just have to know like what about you like makes it difficult to have your shit together. So like, you know, as we're Simons, right? Like we're like, okay, we're never not going to be a Simon. You're never going to actually change who you are ever.
You're innately
so like
a
you're
Simon.
innately yeah. So like, but being aware of the things that like the fact that I can't say no, or like things like that, like knowing that about yourself allows you to like, okay, I need to focus on creating boundaries and doing it in small steps, or I need to actually clean my house, take the time to do such things. Like I don't.
And the reason you deprioritize cleaning your house is because it's not an outward portrayal of you, and so you put
Right.
other things like probably work or other things above that,
or my yard. Like,
sure, because that's
in my yard 'cause
outside,
people see
people
it.
see it. Yep.
And I like intentionally don't have people over.
I was
I'm
gonna say
like,
you
well,
would clean your house if people are coming over.
yeah, but I just don't have people over, so I don't have to. And let me clarify, my house is clean. It is very cluttered.
It's hard to clean if it's cluttered though.
I make it work. I like move it into a pile and then clean and then move it back and then clean. You guys have no idea what it's like.
Oh no, you're describing my parents' house, my mother's house. This is growing up, like this was how we cleaned things. It'd be like, well, if you need to use the table, you move the piles on the table to a different flat surface, kind of push them around if you need to make space. And then when you need that space back again, you move the piles back to the table because you don't need the table anymore. You don't actually eliminate the pile, you just move the piles around.
Absolutely.
It's hard
Or
to
you
not
buy
have any
baskets.
clutter.
I buy baskets and then just throw things into the baskets rather than like, and then I find places in my house to put the baskets.
It's a good plan.
Is it though? Because now I just have baskets of stuff that like I don't even.
Well,
So
ever
like
go back and
every
visit them.
basket is a junk drawer. You don't just have like
Yeah.
2 junk drawers. Like you just have everything's a junk drawer.
That's going to be my next question. Is it like this basket is for these sorts of things and this basket is for those, or it's just like, here's
It's
some
like-
stuff, put it in a basket?
It's like my parents are coming over for 2.5 weeks to help me with my house. Let me just throw all this stuff that's on my counter into a basket, and I haven't looked at it in 7 months, so I don't even know what's in there. Am I really a Simon? Like, this is making me question whether or not I'm a Simon.
I think you're a hybrid, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I think you have a lot of Simon, but I feel like
I do have some Alvin. for
you are
sure.
some Alvin. Yeah, for sure. I don't know what your ratio, like your split is, but I think, yeah, you're not just one.
Yeah, I think it would be hard for somebody to be just one. Well,
Am
yes.
I? Yeah, am
No,
I?
I think you're probably just a Simon.
I do run late to
Not like
things
just.
though, but that's because I'm doing too much, not because I'm a Theodore. I think like it's just because I'm too busy. That's why I'm late.
Right.
I liked her like point about like I've been thinking about it. I haven't actually timed myself, but like being realistic about like how long it takes you to do something, especially when you're like, I need to leave the house at this time.
Mhm.
I've been working on that. It's not good yet, but I've been working on it.
So I'm better at it now, like getting ready for work, because I've been a remote employee for 5 years, I think 4 or 5 years. And like, I used to not have to get ready because we didn't share cameras. Like that wasn't a thing, I feel like, until
COVID.
like just before COVID, and especially during COVID when everyone went
Yeah.
remote. And so I would literally roll out of bed like 5 minutes before I had to go to work, brush my teeth, throw my hair up, and go to work. Never had to think about it. But now like I have to get ready, and I don't have to, but I put on makeup to be on camera. It makes me feel more confident. And so like I've had to like seriously like, okay, this is how long it takes. And if I have an 8 o'clock meeting, like I have to get up by this time in order to be ready for that 8 o'clock meeting, because I'm a get to work around 8:30, 9 o'clock kind of person. So
Yep.
so I've actually noticed like just naturally I've had to get better, Liz, at like how long it takes me to get ready, because you can't be late for a meeting at work, or you can, but still,
It's frowned upon.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
frowned upon. See, I feel like I used to be super good at that, like knowing exactly how long it would take, like from getting up from my chair to like arriving at my destination. And you have kids and everything gets ruined.
I could see that.
'Cause
They
you're
slow
like,
everything
it
down,
won't-
and they're
Like,
it's
it
out
won't
of your
take more than
control.
4 minutes to get out the door. No, it took 4 minutes just to like convince one child to put on their boots. So it's like, so I've had to sort of try to reevaluate.
So basically what I'm hearing is don't have kids.
You just need to like update your time expectations.
I mean, yeah, it just changes how you budget your time, is all.
Yeah. So like what are some of the like key things like or strategies that she used in the book that like stuck out to you guys of like how to accomplish this stuff?
I think Merlin should go first.
Okay. I actually resonated most with her discussion on the negative feedback. And I like how, like she pointed out that obviously a lot of like self-help books and like guidance things are all focused on positives, like, oh, like think about all the money you're going to make, or all the vacation you're going to have, or all the whatever you're going to do. And she was like, well, sometimes that's just not motivating. And so sometimes instead of motivating yourself with what you're going to gain, you motivate yourself with like fear of loss or disaster or whatever. And I feel like that spoke most clearly to me, because I think that most of my like most effective motivation in life is generally more avoiding the negative than getting the positive. Like,
and
even
it's more powerful.
I think so. Like, I've always sort of been confused by the people who can like take some intangible, like far distant long-term goal and be like, I'm going to work really hard for the next 40 years so that I can get to that goal, and be like, that seems like way too far away. Like, no, like, but if the answer is, I have a demo at 2 p.m. and I haven't started it yet, like, now I'm in, nope, build the demo. Like, everything else is forgotten about. I build the demo so that I'm ready to go at 2 p.m. because I don't want to look like an absolute idiot in the demo. Right. Yeah, like, and I used to do this in college, where if there was a paper or something due, I'd be like I'd pull out the syllabus and be like, okay, what percentage of my grade is this paper? It's only 10%. Okay, so if I just don't do this one, but I do all the rest, then I could still get a 90. That's fine. I just won't do it.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me at all.
I'm not surprised at all. I would never do that though.
No, I wouldn't. No, but I'm not surprised like that Merlin did that. Like, no, what is the minimum amount that I can do to still do good enough? Where I am completely the opposite, and was like, no, I can't miss that 10% because I need to get 100% in this class. Like,
what do you need 100% for?
It makes you feel good. You want to be the curve breaker. Everyone hated me. I was the curve breaker. I always took like jock sciences in college, the ones that all the football players and stuff took. And they
the easy science classes. Yeah,
because I hate science. I hated science.
Me too.
Not my favorite.
And math.
And I liked math. But anyways, I was the curve breaker, and they all hated me for it. And I was like, no, I'm trying to be like not in the hard classes.
But here you are getting an A+.
Yeah.
She'd rather
you could have taken a hard class and gotten a C. Or a
so
B.
I think that later in her book, like, she talks about like the fear of failure. And I think that like really, so switching gears, but also kind of combining things, is that like that fear of failure has always, I don't handle failure well. I don't know if I've ever gotten an F on anything in my life. Like, and it's like, I know that was like her biggest example was like, oh, the fear of getting a bad grade and then like getting punished, like TV got taken away, whatever. Like,
do you mean like an F in an like for a whole like course, or like an F on a paper or like
test? An F on a paper test.
You've never failed a test before?
I can't, like,
or not turn something in.
As I was reading the book, I was like, I cannot remember a time that I got an F, like when something got handed back to me.
Oh, I definitely have.
But it was like that fear, like both my parents were teachers. My dad was my teacher for 3 classes in high school. Like that fear of like, like they were teachers, they got it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
My dad did give me a C though. I got a C in calculus. So.
Ooh,
oh, you had your dad as a teacher?
Yeah, 3 times, 3 classes in high school. Wow.
I feel like that'd be a bit weird.
Yeah.
So, well, honestly, it wasn't like, so I always knew like growing up, like someday I'm going to have my dad as a teacher. So like for me, it was like, I knew. So it wasn't like unexpected, like, oh, all of a sudden we were at that same school and it's awkward. And
I can still see that like being weird from an expectations perspective. Like, it's one thing to like let down this teacher that you kind of sort of know, but it's another thing to like also let down your parent who's like seeing your day-to-day work and not just whatever comes home on the report card. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be some extra pressure.
I don't know. Well, in some ways, yes, but like other ways, like you had a free tutor at home. Like if I was struggling with something, I could just be like, hey, can you help me?
Yeah. And like one that actually understands. Like I remember asking my parents to help. And I think every generation has this, because like my friends have told me this too, like especially with math, there's like old math and new math, and like the parents never know the new way. And they're like, I can teach you my way, but like I don't know what you're doing. Like this is all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was nice having a dad at home that could, and then he could help with some of the sciences too, like
Sure.
physics and things like that, because calculus and physics are basically the same thing.
It's true. True enough. Anyway.
Anyways, totally sidetracked on that. But like, so Merlin, you're talking about the negative thinking. I think it is more powerful. So, because I was thinking about it like, okay, like I would love to save money, right? So I'm always like, okay, if I could save this much, per month or whatever. But then I'm like, that never actually gets me anywhere. So then I was like, well, what if my savings, like I could be broke in my savings, right? Like one breakdown of the car and like your entire savings could get wiped, right? And so like I switched my thinking of like that negative for my, like, so I've actually like made some changes just personally, because I was like, well, I don't want to have everything wiped out with, my roof needing replaced or something.
Yep. No, it's true. And that's where I feel like, so listening to the book and then also kind of going through my time management updates in my own professional life over the last 2 months, I was like, yeah, there's a lot of like overlap here, because I feel like the stuff, like I said, the stuff that I find the most motivating is kind of the negative, like, I don't want this to fail. I don't want this to fall apart. Like, I don't want to let these people down. So like, that's what I'm using as nope, I gotta like buckle down and make sure that this gets done, instead of looking at the more like, oh, well, maybe we'll win this sale, or it'd be nice to get whatever, or.
See, I get what you guys are saying. Like, I can appreciate it, but like, that does not resonate with me at all.
Interesting.
Like, I'm a much more
negative thinking.
I like think of the future and like the big lofty goal and like visualize that. And that's like my motivation.
Is it successful? Like, is it helpful? Does it get you there?
Yeah, generally, I think so. Like, I
well,
feel like I'm successful. So like, it's been working so far.
Well, because like I think that's her point though, right? Is it like sometimes if you think like so far, like, hey, I want to be a millionaire when I retire, like that to some people is like terrifying, right? Because like, how do you get there on my salary and things like that, or my wages, right? And so I think that the negative thinking of like, I don't want to be broke when I'm retired, can help motivate some people more so than like putting a number on it.
No, I totally appreciate that. I was just sharing that like that's not my driver. I think like if you're gonna go for the big lofty goal, like the positive thing that's way out in the future, then breaking it, she talks about this, but like breaking it into small manageable chunks is the right way to approach that.
I feel like everything was breaking it up into a small manageable chunk. Like everything in her book, she was like, cool, just focus on this one little piece or this, I resonated a lot more with like the keeping your life together in sense of like cleaning or housekeeping, because I would say that's probably where I lack the most getting my shit together. And so she was like, oh, like just take 20 minutes a day and like focus on this area and then this area. Like you could take 20 minutes out of like something else, that's maybe less of a priority. And I definitely don't do that. Like, I'm like, nope, I want my time to just sit on the couch, read a book, watch TV,
which
whatever.
you also like, deserve that time too.
Which you deserve, but could I take 20 minutes of that time, watch one less episode of something on Netflix,
or like like put on a podcast or a book or like something you enjoy while you clean or do the dishes. Like, you don't have to not have entertainment while you do that. Like, you can combine them. Yeah. I liked her idea of like a must-do list versus a to-do list.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And then like, I don't know what she called it, but basically like prioritize by procrastinating.
Yeah.
So like putting off the things that you don't have to do right now.
I already do that naturally. It's great.
I actually did that with getting my house prepared and ready for winter. Like, I think that not everyone can relate to getting their house ready for winter, but like you have to trim back the bushes, you have to take care of the leaves, you have to turn off like the water stuff. So I was like panicking because I was traveling so much this fall. I was like, oh my God, I don't have enough time to do the things. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have enough time to do everything. So I actually took that advice and was like, okay, here's what I have to do. Here's what actually has to be done before winter comes.
Yeah.
Everything else can, either not get done or can wait.
Yeah. Like I get it. Like, those houses are a lot of work. And like, I used to cut down all the dead stuff like in the fall. And now I'm like, nah, I'll save that for spring. Like, it doesn't hurt anything. I don't need to do all of that with everything else in the fall.
Yeah. I started applying that also to just like work priorities, like customer things, like, okay, I've got 15 things that are waiting on me. I can't do all 15 today, but which 6 of them actually need to be done today, and which of them can I push off till tomorrow or the day after? And I have found that to be a lot more helpful than in making sure that I'm hitting the priorities that need to be hit sort of in order.
When I think it's funny because I used to have this thing on my desk that said like, don't put off to tomorrow what can be done today. And I feel like
that's just totally impossible though. Because your to-do, right? You can never get your to-do list done. Like, does anyone ever finish their to-do list? No. There's always 100 more work things and 100 more personal things you could do. And so like, you would just never sleep. Like, you would just work yourself to death. If that was, I used to have that attitude too, but it's like not healthy because it's never done.
I agree. Like, you have to at some point call it like,
right.
Okay, this is good enough. And the good enough is really hard for me. Like, she talks a lot about delegating. Like, that's how you can get your stuff together, because you can either bring somebody else in, you can hire an assistant, you can ask a friend for help, you know what I mean? Things like that. And then this one comment that she made me realize I'm 100% a Simon, because she was like, oh, but what if like they don't do it up to my standards? And then she's like, okay, Simons. And I'm like, oh, that is so like,
yeah. Because do you struggle with perfectionism?
I used to be worse. I would say I don't have the time to be a perfectionist anymore. So I kind of just.
But you like, that's kind of innately there. Yeah.
Me. Yeah, it really bothers me. But I also don't like handing stuff off to people because I'm like, well, they're not going to do it as good as I would. But I probably wouldn't do it as good as I would want to anyways, because I don't have the time to do it better. So
you'd rush through it.
Right. So like it's that one definitely spoke to me. And I'm probably going to reread that section about how to delegate.
I feel
yeah, I don't know if you guys have that problem or if you're like more than happy to hand things off.
I feel like I do, but I've had people tell me that I'm good at delegation, which I always find like surprising when I get that feedback, because I think like they don't see the internal struggle that I have when I do it. They just see like, oh, Liz hands stuff off, like she must be good at it, but it's difficult for me too. Like, it has to be something I consciously work on. Yeah.
I don't think that I have an issue necessarily with delegation. I feel like the area of improvement for me is working on making sure that when I delegate something, I'm giving like the complete context to the thing.
Because doesn't everyone struggle with that?
Well, but like, it's like my default is just like, here's the thing that needs to be done.
Like, you can read my mind, right?
Just fling it over there and I'm sure you can figure it out. And then that's when they're like, well, I didn't actually know what you wanted. So I just like did this. Is that what you were hoping for? I'm like, oh, no. Like, I feel like I wait too long to delegate. Like, if I delegated earlier when I still had a little bit of time to like document or write down the things that needed to be done, it would be fine.
Panic delegating.
But I'm in like crunch mode, panic delegation. And it's like, I don't have time to tell you all of the things that you need to know to actually be able to do this properly, because like I'm getting on an airplane in 3 hours and this needs to be done today, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think we've all been on the receiving end of like being given something to do with not enough guidance too. Like, I can think of projects like early on in my career where my manager was like, go do X. And I went and did X. And they were like, no, I really wanted A. And it's like, well, I just spent all this time working on X and now you're telling me that it's totally wrong. Like, why weren't you more clear in the first place? But it's because they weren't taking the time to like fully explain it enough, give enough context. It was very frustrating, I thought. Yeah.
So I apologize to everyone that I have delegated something to.
Well, and I feel like I over-explain to the point where I'm not like giving people freedom to like be creative or do it in their own way. Like, I'm very like, no, these are the steps you're going to take. And then you're going to do this. So it like takes more time for everybody, because I'm very like, no, do it the way I would. Here's how I would do it. And then if they don't do it exactly that way, I'm like, no, go back and do it, because that's not how I would have done it.
No, see, I think you should like clearly communicate and give context to the end result, and then let the person get to that end result on their own.
Yeah, I'm working on autonomy for sure. Like, I think I'm really good at autonomy, but I'm not good at letting other people have autonomy.
Do you enjoy having autonomy?
Yes.
Then
Like,
why
being able to do
wouldn't you
things.
want to like provide that for other people?
Agreed. No, it's like definitely something I struggle with, right? Like, I like being able to do things the way that I want to do them, right? Like, okay, here's the outcome, do it how get it done however. But like, I think I know best. I know the best way to get there. So why wouldn't I want to tell other people to do it the way that I would do it? I struggle. It's a huge struggle.
But I think everyone kind of feels that way, don't they?
Presumably.
Probably.
See,
Yeah.
Liz, this is why people give you feedback that you're good at delegating. It's because apparently when you do delegate, you're providing enough autonomy, but also enough details so that that person can be successful with their delegated task.
I don't know. Maybe.
Ashley and I are on opposite ends of the same spectrum.
Yep.
What else?
Like,
Yeah. Do we like? Is there anything you didn't like about the book or the advice? Because I have something.
No, share it. I would love to hear.
So
I don't think there was anything I didn't like.
I
No.
really disagreed with her email approach of like a zero inbox. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it's possible. And I don't think anyone should spend that much time getting and maintaining a zero inbox. I was like angry. I'm like, no, like that was the big thing that stuck out to me where I'm like, I 100% disagree. And if you haven't listened to her podcast on why email sucks, it's related.
So I loved everything she had to say about email and was completely opposite. Well, not everything. So like I liked the thing where she was like, if you have too much email, it's probably because you're sending too much email.
Yeah.
Like that is like a huge revelation. Like you're not gonna get an email back if you don't send them something. So like making sure that you're clear, concise, and like that first email so there doesn't have to be a back and forth. One of the things that I've done is like, if I start to see a string of emails like go crazy and just everyone's responding, I start up a Teams message and I'm like, hey guys, let's communicate here. Like, this is so much easier than sending emails back and forth. So I think that like some of the things that she said has like really changed the way and the communication. I also try to get down to 0 emails by Friday afternoon. So I have taken action on everything that has come in for the week. And then I can start Monday off with like, I don't have any more action items. So I actually lovely. I liked what she said.
See, I feel like filing emails into folders these days is such a waste of time because the search functionality is so good. Like, I just think it does not. Okay, but she recommends having folders for like all your like I just think it's a really archaic way to like manage email.
I do have some folders, right? Like some things where I'm like, okay, I know
you might have like an important, like just a one save it folder, but
yeah. Well, I have a couple, but like, I have different teams. So I'm like, okay, if it's related to this team, it goes here, that here. But I delete, like if I take action on it, I just delete it. Cause I'm like, well, then I know where to find it. I can find it in my deleted items. So I delete everything.
I liked her advice on like the not doing the stupid reply back, like, okay, thanks, or whatever. Like that is just a giant waste of time.
That actually has made me though, like I've gone back and forth on that because first going through that, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, why am I sending those emails? I don't need to get those emails. Why would anyone else need to get those emails? But then since then, in some email threads, I've been like, okay, I don't have anything else to say here other than thanks. But is the other person going to wonder if I don't acknowledge anything, if it went into a black hole? And I'm like,
no, because there's nothing for you to like respond to. Like the assumption I think people make is like, if you don't get anything back, then it's fine. Like you read it and there's nothing else to do.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I've been evaluating the truth of that, especially maybe in a situation where like, I don't know, like I'm not actually anybody's manager, but like I'm sort of leadership in the organization. And so like if somebody who is further down in the hierarchy like does a thing that I have asked them to do and they respond back and say, okay, I did this thing, like are they going to feel slighted if I never thank them for doing the thing that I asked them to do? Or do I just like save all that up and like maybe bring it up in a meeting instead and be like, hey, thanks for doing all those things for me last week.
Can I be like honest and super harsh? That sounds like their problem, not yours. If they have to get thanked for every single thing that they do.
I'm not saying that they need to. it's just a thing that I've been thinking about. Like,
Yeah.
should they? Like, would they appreciate
But I think
the
that that's
things?
an expectation that you should set with people. Like you said, bring it up in a meeting maybe, or just say, or
Yeah.
never do it. And then they never expect you to say thank you. So it's like, oh, this one time you didn't say thank you. Like, did I do something wrong?
Merlin, are your
Sure.
feelings gonna be hurt, or are you gonna be concerned if someone doesn't give the okay thanks email back to something you sent?
No, but I'm kind of a jerk, so I guess my feelings wouldn't be hurt.
That's true.
I don't know. I think it's a waste of time, and it clutters up the
Same.
inbox.
I do like the meeting idea though. So,
Yeah,
like,
I think
making a note
acknowledging
to,
it
like, say
verbally
something.
is different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Or like,
Good-
I
good
like
advice.
to take things into teams. Like,
Mhm.
I hate
Mhm.
sending emails back and forth. So if I know there's going to be like questions back and forth or something like that, I just immediately will go into Teams or any sort of IM function or feature and message them. And then it's there. You can just little like, put a little thumbs up on the message. That's like
You
the best
can
thing
like
that
emails now.
What?
Yeah, I don't know which
In
platform,
Outlook?
because I
Oh,
use
okay.
Outlook and Google. There is a like. Yeah, I swear I've seen a like button somewhere on emails. And
It doesn't
I really
say that was
liked
the
it.
best thing that Instagram ever added, because I think Instagram started that with being able to heart message like DMs. And I was like, I
Yeah,
love this because now I can just heart it. I don't
yeah,
have to respond.
Yeah,
They know
I
that
heart
I've
all the
seen it and I
time.
appreciate it. And then like you don't have to say anything back. And so when Teams put that in, like you could just auto respond. We need like a thumbs down or
yeah.
something
There's a
that,
like
but-
in Outlook in the web.
Oh, it's in the web though.
Is
Weird.
there?
Well, I'm not clicking it. Not clicking it in Outlook.
I do enjoy that button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, to your point about the thumbs down, there is something on the Teams roadmap. Sometime in January, I think you'll be able to use any of the emoticons as a response.
Okay. Yeah, because I had actually asked Microsoft about that maybe earlier this year, because I saw that for one of their online conferences, they had it. So I think that they were trialing it out to see like what people would think or say or whatever. And so ever since then, like anytime I talk to somebody on the Teams team at Microsoft, seems weird, Teams team, I'm like, hey, when is this coming? And I know it was on like the idea site forever, and I would go in and check to see if they've added it. So I'm really excited that it's coming in January.
Yeah.
They're also making their just like their emojis better. Aren't they making them 3D or something? Totally getting
Yeah,
on
I think that
topic
might be.
here,
Hmm.
but
Interesting.
yeah.
What else about the book?
To answer the question about like if there was anything that I didn't like, I don't feel like there was anything that she said where I was like, no, I think that you're wrong. But I did feel like it was kind of interesting going through the different sections and being like, this is where I'm not 100% in Alvin, is that there are some areas where I do have my shit together, I think. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting section of the book for people who don't have this area of their lives together, but like, I'm just kind of
Not relevant.
like waiting for it to be over because I feel good about this area. Like, let's get on to the next area. But that's to be expected, I suppose.
I don't know if I felt good about any area, so that scares me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you keep a calendar, right, Ashley?
I do.
Yeah.
I was
you're too
mostly
hard on
thinking like the
yourself.
retirement planning stuff. Like I set all that stuff up and then I just forget about it. And so now it'll be fine. And I got a guy. My guy tells me if I should change something or do something else. And I say, okay, cool, whatever you say, man.
I do think one of the most important things that she said that I think I'm going to take away is that like you don't have to do everything yourself. Because I'm always like, well, I could hire somebody to do this, but then I have to pay them money and blah, blah, blah. But like your time and your energy is also, it's money, right? Like it costs something. And
Mhm.
so I was like, so I took that and was like, okay, you know what? Sometimes I just need to, like, instead of trying to figure this out myself, let me just hire somebody. They can get it done quicker. It's gonna, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, going back to like preparing your house for fall, you could have just like gotten a landscaping company, come out for like 4 hours and they would have just done it all.
Yeah, which is what I'm gonna do next. I enjoy cutting back the plants. The thing I
Yeah.
hate the most is the leaves. So next year I'm absolutely hiring somebody
Hire
to do
someone
the
to do
leaves.
your
I
leaves,
will
yeah.
not do it another fall. There's no way.
Yeah.
Good. We'll hold you to that.
Please do. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was gonna say, Merlin, since you brought up retirement and it made me think of finances, that like she covers finances as one of the topics, but I feel like if you are actually in the situation where that's a true problem because you just aren't, and she addresses it. She's like, this, if you don't have enough money, like whatever, like this, take this with a grain of salt. But like, I feel like the people that would need that help the most or that advice the most, like she doesn't really provide that advice for it. Like, I think if you have the extra cash and you're just spending it on stupid things, like that's a very different problem than like you just aren't making enough money to cover your minimum needs.
Right.
And obviously, like that's not the focus of the book, but I just think like because she talks about finances, but like doesn't really address that. Like, I don't know. I didn't love that part.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think she's speaking to a specific audience. And that specific audience is middle to upper middle class, like professionally employed individuals in like
people that could
office
afford
jobs.
to buy, also people that could afford to buy the book, right? Like I think that if I was in that position, where maybe I had trouble making ends meet and I was, struggling, like there's literally no money for retirement, I probably wouldn't have spent whatever money it costs to buy this book either. Which is
but
sad,
what if it was a gift
true.
Or you rented
That's
it from the library? Like those were her examples.
I got it from the library. I did not buy the book.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's a good point. I agree, but I just wonder if like her demographic of the book, she obviously had a demographic.
Yeah, and I don't think I would have thought about it, so that she explicitly called it out. So then it made me think about like, yeah, you didn't really like help that demographic at all.
Yeah. I don't know. Overall, I found it was an enjoyable book.
Yeah.
It was only 4 hours of audiobook, so.
Would you read any of her other ones? Like, was it intriguing enough? Because she has 5. She's working on a 6th one right now.
I mean, I'm not opposed. She kept referencing her other one with the F word, which I won't use just for your mother's sake, Ashley.
Thanks, Merlin.
But I feel like that is not a problem that I personally have, so I would not read that book, but maybe one of her others would be appealing.
Yeah, so like that's the first one. So obviously, like I think she'll reference like they're all standalone, right? Like so if it's the only book that you read, but as she wrote more, she obviously will reference previous books.
Yeah, I read the first one like that. I think they complement each other really well. Like something I was thinking about during this one, and I think she commented on it, was just like what is your version of winning at life versus like society's version of winning at life. And I think that first book helps address that issue. And she just kind of touches on it in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely like complement each other, like you said, and build on each other. So I know that like her next 3 books like take like pieces of like these ones and like go into it further. But yeah, the first one was definitely, I remember when I read it for the first time like 6 years ago, it was like life-changing for me. Maybe it wasn't that long ago. I think it came out in like 2016. So
yeah, and I thought all of that, like both, like for both the books, and like I sure wish I would have read this sooner, because I feel like maybe I would have changed things earlier. But
yeah, I read the first one, and then I remember like as I was reading this one, I was like, I think I only got like halfway through it, because there was a point where I was like, I don't remember any of this. So I clearly did not have my shit together to finish the book 5 years ago. So I'm glad that
that's a big improvement.
Yeah. So I actually finished the book this time.
That's good. For anyone listening who is unaware, the first book is, what is it? The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving an F. Is that, I believe that's approximately the title.
Yeah. It's
basically
like
letting go of stuff.
Like the Marie Kondo, is that her name? Like the letting go, it's like changing your life by getting rid of stuff. Like she kind of takes that same theory of like, instead of things, it's F's, like things in your life, like regardless of what it is, people, thoughts, and things, so it kind of applies it. Expectations. Yeah, that's a huge one.
Yeah, like tidying up your mind instead of tidying up your house.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I would recommend that one to anybody, honestly. And this one. I think they were both good.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or anything you guys thought about the book?
Not really. I guess I'm looking forward to the next book club book. Don't know what it is yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks. I just want to say thank you guys for like trusting me, because I was the one who recommended this book. So I am a huge fan of Sarah Knight. She like retweeted me once on Twitter and I like swooned over it and was like excited for days. So still excited. I shouldn't say for days. Like I'll always be excited about that. So thanks for like going on this journey with me. I hope it was valuable.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a good book.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Dynamics Hot Dish podcast. For additional content and previous episodes, check out our website at dynamicshotdish.com, follow us on Twitter at dynamicshotdish, and subscribe to our podcast for notifications. Thanks. See you next time.